Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to Associate Professor Dr. Siti Alfanuddin and fellow friends. My name is Muhammad Ridwan bin Haji Abdul Wahab from M770 FLP Group. Today I will present an article from the subject MKM750. The title of the article is Strategic Planning Approaches to Knowledge Management, a Taxonomy. First, I will explain the content of my presentation. First part of my presentation is the introduction. I will elaborate on the author's background, also the introduction of the articles, the methodology that the author used. After that, I will discuss the finding by the authors. Lastly, I will conclude the presentation. As being shown here is the full citation of the article that I have chosen. Ettore, Bolisani and Enrico Scarso in 2015. The title of the article is Strategic Planning Approaches to Knowledge Management, a Taxonomy, Wine, Volume 45, Issue number 4. Without further ado, I will continue the first part of my presentation. Author's background and work and education. And I also will explain about the subject or expertise of these two researchers. Both of these researchers are from Department of Management and Engineering, University of Padua, Vicenza, Italy. Ettore Bolisani is an associate professor at University of Padua and has a PhD in innovation management. Bolisani had published around 85 research papers related to research strategies, including conference papers, articles, chapters, and books. His research interests include on ICT management and knowledge management, as well as in the field of business, economy, and information system, and managerial economics. Another author of this research is Enrico Scarso. Scarso is a professor at the Department of Management and Engineering, University of Padua. His research interest is in the industrial innovation and in area of technology and knowledge management, focusing on the role of knowledge-intensive business services in local innovation system. Scarso has produced around 69 research, including articles, book chapters, and conference papers. Okay, let's continue. What is taxonomy? The word taxonomy is defined by Marjorie Halava in 2012 as classification of something that is related to knowledge organization system. Okay, let's continue. Overview of the research. The method researchers do to find the taxonomy. The research was inspired from classical literature about strategic planning, combined with KM literature. After that, the taxonomy of 4 possible approaches to KM strategic planning was developed by the researchers. The taxonomy is based on the combination of 2 dimensions, which are the nature, rational versus emergent, of the planning process, and the competitive factors, internal and versus external, that drive the strategy formulation. Next, examples of 4 companies were described and were used to analyze the taxonomy created. The case study is based on secondary data, then provided with the purpose to describe the features of each KM strategic planning approaches, as well as assesses the consistency and usefulness of the formulated taxonomy. Findings of the research by the author were the empirical data that shows that the proposed taxonomy fits cases that can be found in real life. The 2 dimensions of KM strategic planning allow highlighting the differences of the behavior of the companies. Knowledge strategy and KM strategy literature review. The author studied relationship of knowledge strategy and KM strategy based on literature findings author concluded that KM strategy is defined as the plans and guidelines to shape organizations' cognitive resources and consequently to implement appropriate KM program with the ultimate goal to achieve competitive advantages in the organization. In conclusion to the literature review that the author done, the author concluded that KM strategy is defined as the plans and guidelines of to shape the organization cognitive resource and consequently to implement the KM programs with the ultimate goal to achieve competitive advantages for the organization. Now, this is the proposed element of KM strategy planning by the authors. KM strategy divided into 5. There is relevant type of knowledge, connection with company strategy and organization, resources, KM methods and tools, KM long-term goals. Companies may decide on this element in different ways and following different paths. Next is the taxonomy of KM strategic planning approach. This taxonomy came from the literature review that the authors have done, and they came out with this taxonomy where there is a nature of planning process, rational and emergent, and driving factors, competitive, driven, and internal resources. Next, criteria of the company. Next, the author used the company, 4 companies to test the taxonomy. The criteria of the taxonomy is the criteria of the companies that they have chosen is the type of companies that was used by the author for the case study was companies which is possible to access sufficient information in the programs and planning approaches, companies with different KM programs planning approaches so that the case could fill this distinct cell of element of KM strategic planning. The researchers had done tests for 4 companies, which is Eni, a big oil multinational with business unit and operational locations scattered over 70 different countries. EY, formerly known as Ernst & Young, a global consulting company, a leader in insurance and tax transactions and advisory services. Eurotech, a holding of 9 small companies located in Italy, USA. Infonet Solution is a small information and communication technology ICT-based company located in northern Italy. This is the findings of the taxonomy when they do research at the 4 companies. Different companies uses different approaches to KM strategic planning. Conclusion. There are 4 approaches, characteristic and taxonomy of the KM strategies found. Methods of literature analysis was used to find the taxonomy. 4 companies was tested in this research. Researchers concluded that the company's planning process can be different. Okay. Analysis of internal needs and or external pressure, and later a formulation of possible KM strategies that finally results in KM operative plans. Only when actions or projects had already started for other reasons, only later they are recognized with KM initiative. Therefore, KM plans is the attempt to give form and consistent interpretation to existing activities of the companies. This is the result that they found after they tested the taxonomy to the 4 companies they choose. Different behavior depended on various factors such as the size of the company, the organizational structure or the history of the company. The implication of the study: impulse for new research to investigating of factors that enables the emergence of KM initiative within a company. For management, it is important in the case of emergent KM strategy, whereby managers are able to recognize it and furthermore align it with company's overall strategic goals. There is a need to formulate new research agenda with fresh case studies, surveys, or that can provide more targeted empirical results. Understanding the different approaches to KM strategic planning can lead to different categories or KM project, and whether they can result in successful or unsuccessful KM program. Reviewer point of view, I agree with Arthur's suggestion and analysis of implication. For example, this can be used to investigate that factors and the KM strategies by local companies and organizations in Malaysia, which can allow some flexibility to deal with unexpected situations related with KM issue within research companies. Okay, thank you. That's all.